Go to the cloud. Okay. Okay, we're recording. Hello, everyone. We're going to spend about 15 minutes to go over a quick overview of ACAOM standard. We're going to take turns. Some of us will use PowerPoint. Some of us will just use voice. But in 15 minutes, we will understand what is this potentially challenging, scary, but important document called ACAOM standard. So the basic idea is that if an institution like our university fit the standards, we'll get accreditation. If we don't get accreditation. If there's some minor problem, we get a different level. The slightest issue is warning, then you have probation, then you have show cause. So we don't want to be in those. So quickly, we'll go through it. So this will be recorded for future reference. Let me just verify. Huiping, can you see is, let me see. Yeah, it is being recorded, that's good. So the ACAOM standard, ACAOM is our accreditation agency. Their focus is traditional Chinese medicine. Their standard have two parts. The first one is the purpose of university. Second one is the legal and regulatory requirement of our university. Number three is the governance and administration. That means what should be the board and what should be the management. And number four is record. How do we keep records? Number five is how do we process admission and provide student services? Number six is how do we assess? That means how do we test student and how do we evaluate the student performance? Number seven is how do we design, how do we approve the program of study? Number eight is what are the faculty qualities, standard communication. Number nine is how do we plan the finance and resource, including technology, building, and library. And last one is how do we properly do publication and advertising, including our website and our catalog. Okay? And I have the honor to be assigned to do the first few, so I'm going to go quickly. You can always go to the ACAOM website. The list are comprehensive. Okay? But this is a quick overview, so you know what is going on. So criteria 1.01. So each standard have a criteria. And the number one, although this kind of go without saying, but if you go to any government agency accreditation, they always emphasize the essence of the accreditation is integrity. That means we do not lie, we do not hide. We do our best job, present our best version of ourselves, not a fake one, best version of ourselves to the accreditation agency. And that's important, okay? Should be completely candid, honest, and transparent. And ACAOM asks any information, we should have them ready. They have to be careful with privacy and the kind of student information. Okay? So integrity, first criteria. Second, every institution needs to have a clear mission. Our mission is to prepare our graduate to go into the professional field of traditional Chinese medicine. Okay? And that is the big mission that all the programs are supposed to also follow that mission. And each program also have to have a goal, but the goal also support the institutional mission. Okay? Program learning outcome. So every program have to have a set of learning outcomes. And important thing is that must be clearly specified and measurable. Okay, measurable. That means we can clearly tell, hey, that student fulfilled this outcome and this student didn't. And we need to establish that. The learning outcome need to be, of course, relevant to the program we study, right? So all the outcome need to somehow link to the professional practice of traditional Chinese medicine. Okay, and at the end of section 1 is that those mission and those basic information like outcome need to be regularly reviewed. Probably mean once a year, but no longer than, say, 3 years, need to be reviewed by a committee like this, but definitely approved by the board. Okay, that's that for first criteria. And who's supposed to introduce the second one?
Oh, me.
Okay, Hui Ping, go ahead.
How do I share my screen? I don't see the share screen option here.
You move your mouse around and you will see the green button at the bottom of the window, a Zoom window.
But it's not here. I think you need to authorize me
I already
right?
did that. I make it default now so everyone can see.
Okay, now I see it. Okay,
Good.
I need to make it bigger, that's why. Okay, here. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to spend about 6 minutes talking about Standard 2, legal and regulatory requirements. And under Standard 2, there are 7 criteria. 2.01, legal organization and authorization. 2.02, accreditation status of parent institution. 2.03, degree granting authority. 2.04, off-campus control. 2.05, compliance with federal law. 2.06, compliance with state law. 2.07, compliance with local and municipal laws, ordinances, and codes. And there's a specific checklist called ACAOM Legal and Regulatory Compliance Checklist. That's the checklist ACAOM Special Master, when she or he visits UEWM, he or she will use. So I will spend more time talking about this checklist. Now let's just start from the 2.01. Legal organization and authorization. The institution must be legally organized entity whose primary purpose is to provide graduate education in ACAOM. And the institution must be authorized to conduct its operations by recognized state approval agencies, and it must comply with applicable state laws in each state in which it operates. And for 2.02, we can skip because it's not applicable. For 2.03, degree granting authority, the key point is the institution must comply with recognized state approval agencies and relevant state law with respect to the awarding of degree and diplomas. 2.04, off-campus control, assume responsibility for all off-campus educational and co-curricular activities and programs, including activities arranged through agreements with other organizations or individuals. 2.05, 6, 7 is all about compliance with the law. So now let's look at the ACAOM legal and regulatory compliance checklist. Under this checklist, there are 6 subcomponents or categories. Let's look at each one. Legal organization. So when ACAOM is on site at UEWM, they will ask us to provide the articles of incorporation and bylaws as for the board. For the legal, another category, legal authorization, ACAOM will review UEWM status reports provided by California Secretary of State, California State Authorization Agency, and California Acupuncture Board. And because UEWM enrolls international students, we will also need to provide SEVP certification. And because UEWM provide federal student aid service, we will also need to provide these items. The PPA, that's program participation agreement, and e-card, and gainful employment disclosure. And we also need to complete those IPEDS surveys every year. And we also need to have a drug and alcohol abuse prevention program, and campus security policy, and the following laws I'm going to talk about, we will also need to abide by and have the policy. Violence Against Women Reauthorization Act of 2013, and the Campus Sexual Violence Elimination Act, and Campus Crime Awareness and Campus Security Act of 1990. Campus Fire Security Right to Know Act 2008, Constitution Day Law, we need to observe this date, and National Voter Registration Act of 1993, UEWM needs to provide voter registration forms at the campus, and Military Selection Service Act, and 34 CFR Part 85 obligations regarding government-wide department and suspension non-procurement. So there are a lot to abide by. And next one is regulatory affairs. This is BPP's requirement. UEWM needs to publish school performance fact sheet. And next one is OSHA compliance. And for the clinic, we need to maintain a log of reporting needle sticks and log of employee student injuries. Okay, next category is finance. We need to provide, audited financial report and cohort default rate report. This is for financial aid. According to Department of Education, in 2016, the national-wide cohort default rate was 10.1%, and UEWM did pretty well. From 2014 to 16, our default rate was about 3% to 5%. The next one is human resources. We need to abide by these laws, human labor rules, and the policy, whistleblower policy. Okay, and ACAOM will also check our employee handbook to make sure that we follow all the rules and regulations. Last one, more rules, privacy and information security. We need to abide by the rule of the Family Education Rights and Privacy Act, and also provide training to faculty and staff members. Another one, safeguarding customer information as required by GOB Act, and also HIPAA, everybody knows about this, and high-tech policy. And the last two items are about our marketing. We need to pay attention to these requirement non-spam. When we send email out for advertisement, we need to have the option to let them opt out. So that's one of the regulation. Another one is that if we make a phone call for advertisement, we need to follow the do not call laws. Okay, let me close this one and let's have a review. So you can see that the Standard 2 legal and regulatory requirements, we have 7 criteria and very detailed checklist to follow. And there are a lot of policy documents to work on. Okay, thank you.
Wow, that's need to be very organized. Thank you. Thank you, Hui-Ping. Okay, let me going to switch to my screen. Okay, the next one is governance and administration. Again, this is overview, so I keep it short. So governance structure, that we have to have a clearly delineated governance structure. That's our board of trustees. And they are ultimately controlled, okay? So they select me, evaluate me, and I in turn select you, evaluate you. There is no one above them. The board make final decision. So we have to be careful with it. The board make final decision. There's no one above the board, of course, out of the government. Basic idea is that the board have to have a bylaw. They have to meet regularly. Our regular meeting is every term plus special meeting. Every meeting has agenda and minutes. Thanks many of you participating in those meetings. We'll have one coming, I think, in a couple of weeks. And everything need to be keep a file. All the bylaw, meeting minutes, appendix. So this is the basic idea, okay? Let me tell you, for the future audience, a functioning board, an independent board, having the university's benefit and students' learning as the top priority is absolutely crucial. All the employee could be gone, but the board need to be there to stay, to continue. So the board is absolutely important. Okay, so what does the board do? Okay, they do policy and long-term planning. For example, our leave of absence or our new program. Second one is they select and evaluate the president and CEO. That's why I have to answer to them all the time. And it's important. Who is responsible to make sure we have money? It's the board. Financial stability, they review and approve the budget. When they approve the budget, let's say the budget is we need $300,000 more, and they approve it, they are responsible to find the fund. Okay? And we are responsible, the managers are responsible to execute the budget. And this is interesting. They have to have a process to ensure their own effectiveness. So they have to, every year they have to say, as a board member, as a board, how effective are we? Okay? It's improve significant change. Say we want to add a program, buy another building, or add another executive, they have to approve it. And they have to take input from student and faculty. So student and faculty should have a regular way to talk to the board directly, because they might not be happy with the president. If the president is the only one they can communicate, ultimately, how does the board know the president has a big trouble, right? So that's important. Criteria 3, administrative staff. So it's pretty straightforward. There are more detail online, but the idea is that as a university, the number of people, the structure, the qualification of us, qualification, that's wrong. And each person have a clarified and understood job description. That is what's needed for criteria 3.4. Okay. With that, Bei, you want to do records?
Yes. So do I need to use my screen?
No, it's okay. I can do the screen shifting for you. You just let me know when you want to go to the next screen.
Okay, thank you. So this standard 4 is talking about the record keeping. Let me go down the slide 50. Yeah, so this our institution must develop and maintain accurate and complete secure record keeping system. So this is a lot of detail here. I want to share with you guys about the narrative, how we failed of our DM program. So the biggest issue is we don't have a really sufficient record keeping system in the DM program. So we have struggled to fix that while it's like accumulate so many years. It's really difficult. So yeah, Dr. can you go to the number 16? But now we have updated our record keeping system. Now we are pretty good. The students' files, the academic record, now we are doing pretty good. The number 17. So yeah, so this is all talking about our institution must safeguard all permanent records. We have a record room that have all the records locked inside. Only the person authorized should go inside. Number 18, please, thank you. Yeah, so for the record keeping for non-title for financial aid, they have their specific record keeping system. I think we are doing really good for this part. For criteria 19, I want to focus on the clinical record. Yeah, so since last site visit until the last time we have ACAOM site visit, it called special master. She come and help with the clinical records Before that, we do have some problem. And now we have a standard policy to organize the patient chart. We have the patient chart protocol, and we have the regular training, but still have some very little things that might have some gap for the training for the staff. And now we all fix this part. And since our student representative is here, I do want, and our faculty is here, I do want to say that clinical patient, clinical record successful can't live without your support. So our students and supervisors, only you guys are the first step to make sure our records is really secured. We, as the clinic director, our practice is we will double check the patient's records or the every monthly, and we will have the refresh training regularly. So by that means we can all compliance with ACAOM standard, the government's standards, and it's really, really important. Thank you. Number 21st. Yeah, it's all about a clinical record. Can we go to 23? Yeah, this is about how we disposition and storage this record. As we know, our academic record, we keep for at least 5 years. After 5 years, then we dispose these records. Yes, this is pretty much our criterion standard for. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you. Let's switch to Clark, going to overview the admission, student service, and assessment. Clark?
You are muted.
Let me unmute him. Okay. Oh,
all right. So, can everybody see my notes here?
Yes.
They're not as polished as your PowerPoint, but
that's okay. You might want to make the text a little bit larger.
I don't understand why it's not letting me scroll. Let me go here. Here we go. Okay. It's not doing Control++.
Okay, I have to go to the view menu item left. On top left, there is a view. There might be a zoom function. That would be great.
Wow.
Okay, so standard 5, admissions and student services. 501 is recruitment and policy publication. Not much detail there. It's pretty much straightforward. It sounds like just what it is. Admissions goes into the TOEFL requirements, making sure they have an undergrad degree before they start, and all the stuff that we're familiar with there, the 2 years of undergrad. 503 is the transfer credits, transfer students. Up to 50% of the total program can be transferred in. And of that 50%, no more than 25% of clinic can be transferred in. 5.04, non-matriculated students must meet all admissions requirements of the program that they're joining. 505, student services. So we have to include orientation, counseling, academic advising, and career development programs. 506 is student policies. It includes the statement of rights, privileges, and responsibilities of students, as well as disciplinary proceedings. We need to make sure that we publish our refund policy, and all of the discipline grading and academic progress is fair and consistent among all students. 507, student complaint and grievances, fair and consistent policy and procedures, appropriate training to faculty, staff, and students, maintain complaint record for 3 years, demonstrate handling fairly and equitably, all of these things, and disclose ACOM's address and phone number just in case somebody needs it to whistleblow or ask for advice or anything like that. Doctorate degree completion students, I didn't go into that one since it's pretty much a moot subject for now. We're focusing on the master's assessment and evaluation, and the doctorate one's very similar to the master's one anyways. So systemic evaluation, demonstrate commitment to ongoing improvement by documenting systemic evaluation, use results to determine how much fulfillment mission and how much we are fulfilling the mission and goals, must include faculty involvement and evaluation of the teaching and learning. And we need to use our evaluations to improve the program. That's actually one of the key points. They want to make sure that when we do our evaluation and assessment that we actually acknowledge what we did last year and the year before and use that to improve, instead of just saying, okay, well, we saw that we failed and we're not going to do anything about it. We need to see it where we failed and actually use that to do better. Assessment of student learning, enforce student academic progress to all students, implement or satisfactory academic progress to all students, implement systemic methods of student learning outcome, variety of measures at each stage of the program, measure how much students meet the course learning outcomes and the program learning outcomes. So 6.03 is programmatic review, involves stakeholders plus, so we need to involve the stakeholders plus the same as above for the program learning outcome, and include faculty performance as well. 6.04, evaluation of graduate success. So we need systemic methods. Once again, they want everything to be systemic. Develop data to evaluate the fulfillment of our mission. Are we accomplishing our mission? And how do we know? Job placement and earnings. Evaluate if we meet goals and learning outcomes. Our graduation rate. How much we're having success in both the NCCAOM certification exam as well as the California licensing exam. If we fall below ACOM, will review us. So we need to make sure that we're holding these standards. 6.05 is assessment methods, must assess students. Methods must document program competencies, including CLOs and PLOs, or course learning outcomes and program learning outcomes. 6.06, dissemination of information, accurate and timely results to stakeholders, the competencies and criteria in 7.04, which we saw earlier when Eric was speaking. So that 7.04 is basically our responsibilities as a TCM school. And we also need to make sure that we let people know about our program learning outcomes. So that's pretty much it. Document everything. If it's not documented, it doesn't exist. And then we need to show how we are evaluating. So that's my short and sweet version. So Eric, you're muted.
Okay, let's switch to section 7, standard 7.
Let's see what 704 looks like.
7.
Let me see, who's responsible for 7?
Me.
Okay, go ahead. Let me switch to myself. Is it on the same slide?
I can use my own screen if
yes,
you are
please.
okay with that.
Yeah, that'll be great. Let's do that.
Thank you. It's a lot of aisle. Let me see. This one, here. Since it's a really complicated for this one, a lot of information. Yeah, so this is talking about our whole program. Our program must be appropriate to an institution for higher education. So we have the program mission on our catalog. So basically, we need to review our catalog. We need to make sure we match our catalog, what we said about our program's mission. And since every year, every time we have the self-study, we need to show evidence that our program have a appropriate commitment. We have fulfilled our instructions, demonstrate the institution commitment, the level of the instructions, all the things. We need to show the evidence. And we evaluate us, then we show the evidence. For criterion 702, so minimum program length, credit and hours, we have to follow the ACAOM standards and at the same time for the acupuncture board's standards. So let me see. Okay, so for this criteria, professional competency, our master level program learning outcome must be adjusted and lead to development of all professional competencies designed as master levels. So we already have our whole program structured very well. All we need to do is to improve it every time based on the assessment learning outcome program outcome, then we update it. And it have a really detailed patient care domain on ACAOM's comprehensive standard. It's including the foundation knowledge, and the critical thinking, professional judgment. So it's very detailed to adjust how the students should learn from this program. For example, it should apply critical thinking skills, professional judgment, and document support AOM treatment. This is all be adjusted in our whole program education. And for example, history taking and the physical examinations. So Matthew, you can feel that when you achieve the education, all this part has been adjusted during your study. It's very detailed. AOM diagnosis, formulate, like herb formulate, integrated physical exam, finding laboratory, all those things, and the case management. And AOM treatment. This emergency management, we require our students have the CPR training, and when our supervisor they teach you guys, they will tell you which kind of situation you need to be aware of, you know, and to take care of our patients in a safe way. And advanced diagnostic studies is like you need to explain the clinical indications, risk, and benefits, you know, all these things is very detailed. Yeah. So this professional development competencies is talking about professional development. is how we help our students. They can continually, expand their knowledge even after they graduated, or, excuse me. So the practitioner of acupuncture and mental medicine must have a comprehensive knowledge in this field. So we do encourage students to like attend some research part to know how to do research in this master program study, or when they graduated. It's kind of a very important way. You can always develop your professional background. And for the clinical training, our clinical training must be conducted in a clinical internship location, which means it's our clinic. For doctor program or other like a PD program, we can have an externship site, but for master program, only our location is being granted. The clinical training must provide sufficient patient contacts to fulfill the professional competition. And the syllabi, I think we have done a good job at our syllabus. Every class, the faculties will provide the students the syllabus. And the syllabus, they have a very clear description what the things should be addressed in the syllabus. The course description, learning outcome, prerequisites, and the method of instruction, assessment, grading, all those things need to be addressed very clearly on the syllabus. Okay. And the continuing education. So we do offer continuing education in a very good manner to comply with the California Acupuncture Board's regulations. And now to show our appreciation to our faculties, we offer our faculties to have the continuing education in UEWM for free. And this clinical research project is now we require doctor program to have this clinical research, but we don't require the master program students. But we do want to set up a UEWM research committee that can encourage our students and the faculties to join this and do some research, help your professional development. I think that's pretty much all. Thank you. Yeah.
That's great. Thank you very much. I'm going to quickly finish the rest.
Hello. That's all the standard 7th report.
Yes. Thank you. Okay, so let me move to.
I double share.
Yep, I already stopped you. Alrighty. Let me see. Let me do this one. Okay. Good. We're going to go to the last three. It's pretty brief. Number 8 is faculty and guest selection. Okay. So we need to identify who are our faculty, of course, but we need to identify who are our core faculty. I mean, core faculty continues to teach and support the program update. And for all the faculty, the recruitment, the hiring, appointment, promotion, and retention need to be in our institutional documents. And every faculty need to have a letter of appointment or a contract to specify the term and duty. And we need to provide them opportunity professional growth. That means we give them different rank, different class, and support them for do some study themselves. And this is why we have to be careful. The employment contract must address preparation time. That means we cannot only pay faculty for their in-class time. Their compensation should include some preparation time. So that's something we have to be careful. Okay? So next one, faculty communication. This is pretty straightforward. We need to communicate with our faculty. Each program should have a meeting every term. As a campus, we need to have an all-campus faculty meeting at least once a year. Since all our faculty are currently teaching the master, so yeah, we are fine. Number 9, institutional and program resource. And basic idea is that we need a CPA audit every year. We need to develop a 3-year projection for the institute. We do not have that, so we need to do that for the next 3 months. We definitely have an approved budget, and definitely our composite score is pretty good. Composite score is a one-number measurement of how healthy is our finance. And each program, which is, we have to be careful with this. I don't think we have a detail. The master program, we don't have to do it for a doctor, but the clinic need to have a clear idea of how much we spent for your program last year, what's your current budget, and what you plan to do next year. So for the whole university, we need to do 3-year projection. Each program need to do a 1 year. We need to have the resource planning, meaning the building, the library, the IT, included in the budget and need to approve by the board, which we've been doing. We need to have a 3-year budget, which we need to do. And this one, have to be careful, okay? We must have our own control of financial resource and free of undue influence or pressure from owners, shareholders, external funding sources. Okay. So we have to maintain a certain independence. Okay. A learning resource, we have to make sure we have a library, we have someone capable of running it. Last, publication advertising. It's pretty straightforward. I'm not going to go through the detail. The ideas will be honest, complete, accurate, and clear. Okay? Very important. I list all of them. We're not going to go through detail. The catalog need to have all these sections clear. There's a clear title, reviewed, accurate, and reviewed every year. Okay? So all these need to be there. So yes, these are the 17. There's a policy, and there are 17 sections we have to include. All right, so we'll stop, and I will stop recording. So now you can tell